Hello, everyone. My name is Alex, and this presentation is called A Waste of Time and an Animal. Now, we've all seen Jurassic Park, and one of the main themes of that movie is scientists playing God and creating an animal that shouldn't be alive today, like a dinosaur. Now, modern day scientists have either never seen Jurassic Park or they just never picked up on the message, or they just got the opposite message. I'm banking on the third option because in the modern world, we have scientists and groups all over the world who are trying to bring back extinct animals by various means for various different reasons. And I'm here to tell you, in my humble opinion, that that is a very, very, very bad idea. Now, I'm not a scientist or an ecologist or even a paleontologist, but I do believe that I do have some, credence to this argument because I've been following this topic for quite some time, ever since I was a child. And of course, any child would be interested in the idea of bringing back extinct animals to life. But the more I've followed this project over the years and the more I've learned about it, the more I've begun to view it with a critical eye. So please join me in this presentation as we talk about who is involved in this, what animals they're trying to bring back, why they're trying to bring back these animals, and ultimately why this is a waste of time, resources, and just a bad idea. Now, without any further delay, let's try to find out who is trying to, remake Jurassic Park. Now, one of the groups involved are Sergey and Nikita Zimov. They're the founders of Pleistocene Park, and the main goal of Pleistocene Park is to sort of create a time capsule ecosystem that harkens back to the old Pleistocene days. But specifically, their mission is to reintroduce a bunch of living animals and clone a bunch of extinct animals into this ecosystem in order to restore the grasslands that once thrived in the Pleistocene. Now, Ronald Goddard is the man who launched the Taurus program. The Taurus program's goal is to recreate an animal that is very similar to the auroch, which is the extinct wild ancestor of modern day cattle. Now, the goal of bringing back the auroch is to let it roam free and allow it to eat up the grass of Europe, so that way forests don't continue to spread. And finally, we have Jack Horner, who is a paleontologist who, for several decades now, has been trying to recreate a dinosaur by manipulating chicken embryos. More on that later. His project is called the Chickenosaurus Project, and it aims to recreate a non avian dinosaur. Not specifically recreate a specific giant dinosaur, just recreate a dinosaur using a living animal, a chicken. I'll just let that sink in. Now that we know who is involved, let's try to find out what animals they're trying to bring back. Pleistocene Park, as I stated before, is trying to bring back the grasslands of the Pleistocene. And they're doing this by introducing a bunch of animals into this park they've, bought. Now, they've already introduced many living animals that are endangered in other places, but they also plan on cloning a bunch of extinct animals. And those animals include the woolly mammoth, the woolly rhino, cave lions, Irish elk, and cave bears. And they plan on doing this by taking the DNA of these extinct animals, which we have everywhere because we've found their remains frozen in ice. And they plan on taking that DNA and implanting it into a surrogate animal, a closely related species. For example, the woolly mammoth's closest living relative is the Asian elephant. That is planned to be the surrogate of the woolly mammoth. Pretty interesting stuff, right? Now, the Taurus program, as I stated before, plans on bringing back the auroch, the wild ancestor of living cattle. But they plan on using a different method known as backbreeding. Now, what backbreeding is that because all modern day cattle are descended from the auroch, they can essentially use the DNA found in those animals and through selective breeding, essentially create an animal that looks similar to the auroch and has a lot of the auroch's DNA. And they plan on releasing this animal into the ecosystem. Then we finally get to the Chickenosaurus. Now, they plan on creating this dinosaur chicken thing by manipulating the embryo of a chicken because birds are dinosaurs, and within every bird are the vestigial or relic DNA of their dinosaur ancestors that allows them to have tails, arms, and teeth, things that they don't have now because that DNA has been dormant or has been suppressed. Now they plan on using a unique type of DNA manipulation known as CRISPR to try and reactivate these genes in order to create an animal that has these features. Now, you're probably wondering, why do any of this? Well, there are various reasons. The Pleistocene Park's main reason for trying to bring back a lot of extinct megafauna is their main reason is to try and combat global warming. Because they believe by reintroducing these ice age animals, not only will they eat a lot of grass, but their large movement will heat up permafrost in the ground, which is known to help combat global warming. And also, the spread of grasslands in general is believed to help against global warming. The Taurus program plans on releasing the auroch for the reason of preventing the grasslands of Europe from disappearing, since cattle herding is no longer really popular in Europe, so there's not a lot of cattle eating the grass or acting as lawnmowers. So, yeah, without them, the forests will keep spreading and the unique animals that depend on the grasslands will continue to die. So that's why they plan on releasing the auroch into the environment, or the pseudo auroch, as I prefer to call it. Now, the Chickenosaurus is a very strange one. The reason they've given for why they would create such a thing is to not only help us understand more about bird evolution and learn more about genetics, but they've also said that the reason they did this was to try and combat creationism. Yeah. Now, why should we do this? Should we really do this? And the answer is no. There's a lot of reasons we should not really do this. Number one, there's a big environmental risk in introducing these animals into the environment because ever since these animals have left the environments they once lived in, the environments have changed and they might not really be suited to these environments anymore. And, well, the environments that they once lived in might not even exist. So, what's really the point of creating an extinct animal when we don't really have a home to give it, right? You'd basically make it homeless. And, we all know what happens when we introduce invasive species to an environment. It could have severely catastrophic effects to the environment and the animal itself. Now, there's also some ethical reasons why we should not do this. Mostly concerning the Chickenosaurus, many have criticized its creation, and many have said that the only reason they've created it is for novelty. And even the creator of the Chickenosaurus has even been stated as saying it would be cool to have a pet dinosaur, as if the only reason it's being made is for novelty. And essentially, the animal in question would not live a very good life if it was created. A Chickenosaurus would essentially be a deformed chicken with teeth and a tail and arms. It wouldn't really function how it's supposed to. And even if you created an extinct animal via cloning or backbreeding, it wouldn't essentially create the desired product because cloning requires a surrogate or a closely related species, and the creature born from the surrogate would not really be the original. It would inherit the DNA of its surrogate, so it would essentially be a hybrid. So what's really the point? And also, backbreeding has the same effect where, yes, you created an animal similar to the original Auroch or something else, but it's not really, the original. It's just a replica, like the dinosaur bones they show at a museum. It's not the real thing. And ultimately, I just see a lot of this research and planning as ultimately pointless, because why should we why should we be using all of these revolutionary techniques in genetics and breeding, when instead we could be using this to save and protect the species that on this earth that are still alive and need our help now and are losing numbers fast. Take the Sumatran rhino, the currently living relative of the woolly rhino. Why should we waste resources trying to bring back the extinct woolly rhino when there are less than 47 Sumatran rhinos left in existence? Maybe we should clone some Sumatran rhinos, don't you think? So, in conclusion, while it is sad, it really is sad. Who wouldn't want to see these amazing animals walk the earth again? Because ultimately, it is our fault that a lot of these animals are gone, minus the dinosaurs. But at the end of the day, we have a responsibility and we owe it to the animals that we still have here on earth today to protect them, to make up for our mistakes. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. Thank you so much for watching. And I'd like to thank my references: dinosaurculture.com, rewildeurope.com, pleistocenepark.iru, and scholastic.com. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.